we've also had, I didn't mention, we've had wonderful support from a number of different Roman Catholic congregations in the area. And representatives of those groups were not able to be with us today, but certainly we thank them too. Yes, I'm going to ask Nancy to say a few words. She's a Centreville resident, and maybe she'll say something from that viewpoint as well as from her congregation.
I have to say, I think the viewpoint I primarily speak from is the fact that the church I serve is in Prince William County. And,
our sympathies.
Enough said. So I think part of what I represent is people from many different jurisdictions that take an enormous amount of inspiration from what you've done here, that take it back to where we're working to try to make a difference in what feels sometimes like a really uphill battle. So to be with business persons and civil servants who are really getting traction on issues that sometimes in Prince William County we feel like we're spinning our wheels on is an inspiration. And as a representative of the religious community, this is the Advent season, and so I'm thinking of scriptures that many of us are studying and thinking about this season, particularly the story, we all know that this family traveled from far away to Bethlehem. And when they got there, Mary gave birth to this child, and she took him and she wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and she laid him in a manger in a barn because, as Luke says, there was no room for them at the inn. And I'm thinking about that since there was no room for them at the inn. And if you look at the translation of it, actually a better translation of that is there was no place for him at the inn. There was no place for him at the inn. And what we're called to do in this season is to make a place for that little child who came from far away to bring hope to the world. And what you're doing here in this work is making a place for the people, is making a place for those who come from far away, who are looking for a way to build their lives. You're making a place, not just for that one little baby, but for all these families and for all these people who have so much to give our community. So thank you for doing that holy work this holiday season, and it really is an inspiration for me to be able to see it.
Thank you.
I'd also like to call on Catherine Reed, who is president of Centreville Rotary Club, and that represents another part of the community that has been supportive of what we're doing.
Absolutely. I was at the meeting at the elementary school where the only thing that was missing was the actual pitchfork. I had never met Supervisor Fry up to that point, but he garnered my admiration that night. He was the most unflappable, calm, logical, committed person I've ever seen in the face of such anger and fear and a lot of other things that the community was expressing. It was like group therapy. It really was, because as he said, you had to give voice to these things. But as somebody was asking Alice, how's the community accept? I think it's acceptance is the word. And I think going forward, by our actions, this village, this community is going to show that we can be the change that the rest of the world is seeking. I think the Herndon experiment that did not work set the stage for this to work. I think the things that we've learned along the way are going to help this be a tremendous success, because it is the religious community, it is political leadership, it is civic leadership. The Rotary Club of Centreville, we have a long history of service above self, and not all of us always agree, as we do in this issue. But moving forward, it's about building a community that welcomes people, and building the kind of community we want the rest of the United States to look at and say, yes, we can do this. We can build a community that is truly inclusive. So thank you. I'm glad to be part of this. And I will just say, too, that the Centreville Foundation recognized Jerry and Alice this year as their Citizens of the Year, and it was duly deserved. Absolutely.
Yes, I'll do a few other recognitions here, starting with my husband, Jerry. whom I certainly would not be standing here at all. He's had to be very patient and not only that, very supportive throughout with this all the way. Special thanks to a number of people, and I'm not going to try to name everybody, but a number of people who have helped in very special ways. I'm going to say a special thanks to Ronnie Robbins, who is an employee of Al Dwoskin. Ronnie has been the go-to person, sometimes more than she wanted to be, and certainly always more than she had time to be. But she has just been wonderful in responding to our questions and needs and helping us move this project forward. And she's sensitive and thoughtful, and I appreciate working with her so much. So thank you, Ronnie. Special thanks also to Bill Threlkeld, the director of the Herndon Official Workers Center.
The one that didn't work?
It worked. No, it worked. It did work.
And I'm going to say that center worked really well, but other things intervened to cause it to close. So Bill has been wonderfully supportive of what we're doing and has given us all kinds of practical support. Special thanks, too, to Edgar Aranda, who's sitting down here taking pictures. And Edgar works for the Virginia Legal Aid Justice Center, and they also have been wonderful advisors and supporters to us through this whole process. I'll say yes.
Yay, yay.
We also have a number of people who have worked for us in the last year or two, including Connie Rojas. Raise your hand, Connie. Connie is a teacher with Fairfax County Public Schools in their adult education program, and she's very fluent in Spanish, and she has helped us get to know the worker community at a time when we were first getting organized and didn't know the people very well, so that was wonderful. Melanie Fox was our summer intern, a year ago, and she is now working for the Friends Committee on National Legislation in D.C., working still on immigration, so go Melanie. Okay. And our new director is Shani Moser, and I'm going to ask her to say something. But before I do that, I'll introduce her staff assistant, Molly Madra. And hope y'all have a chance to talk about it. Okay, Shani.
Oh, you're on.
Oh, wow. The turnout here today is just so heartwarming and so thrilling. Both Molly and I agree that we are overwhelmed by the love that we feel here, because this is what this project is ultimately all about, love of our fellow neighbor. So thank you all for that. For me, this is a dream come true. I started getting my hands in with the migrant community